Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the ZBA meeting. Tonight is January 13th, 2025, and I would like to call this meeting to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So we do have a quorum. We have 5 members. We have Mr. Collins absent, Mr. Terrell, and Mr. Nolan. Everyone has a copy of the minutes in their folder from our last meeting, and they were also emailed to us from Jason. Anyone have any questions on the minutes? Able to look them over?
Make a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting on
December 9th.
December 9th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Wasn't here.
So we still have a quorum for it though, so we're good. Okay, so I don't know, we have new business. We have an application for a special use permit for a temporary campground on the property owned by Joan Mahoney. The property is located at 134 Bucks Ranch Road, tax map number 130.2-20.1. You guys are here for that application?
Yeah, yep.
Hello. Did you want to explain?
I could, yeah.
What the application is for, the intention, the purpose?
Yeah, it's just to increase the numbers in my campground temporarily for three separate weeks, 3 separate weekends. I sent Jason kind of a rundown. I don't know if you guys, did you guys put that out?
Yes, they'll have it in the folder.
Okay, I gave you a rundown about the weekends, and I went through this process a couple years back, and I think I did a good job at taking all your guys' requirements, and I'll give it another shot this year.
So these events, the May 29th to June 1st, another one August 15th to the 18th, and then another one, it just says 9/13, so would that be
It's only one day.
It's a one-day event?
Yeah, there's going to be a few people there the night before, but there's not really any activities, and it's not probably going to exceed the numbers in the 4 campsites I already got there.
Okay. Now, I know myself and Mr. Boomer, we were a part of this application the 2 years ago. So how is this is no different than the last application that you had put in?
No different. I don't think it's smaller. There was only one weekend last time. It was 4 weekends, but by the time I got through the process, 4 of the events needed to cancel due to not having permission in time.
Does anyone else have questions?
Those events were 2 years ago. Did you have any events last year?
No, I did not have any events last year.
And then the one event that you had 2 years ago, about how many people were there?
I'd say there's about 200.
There was music at that event?
There was music at that event. Jason was there multiple times.
Jason? Martin?
No,
Have fun?
that was one of the stipulations the board put on, that I did inspections every day,
Okay.
just to make sure that they were compliant.
Okay.
With all the stipulations that the board put on, and I have those documents in my office, in my files.
From what I remember, the one event that they had, there wasn't any kind of, I don't remember any complaints or negative feedback regarding that. Do you, or?
I know after he had the temporary campground for that weekend that he was approved. I did not receive anything at the building department, and neither did the police chief either.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember hearing anything back about it.
So, Jason, what part of the code does this fall under?
Special use permit, RA zone.
For campsite?
Yes. Campground. Your schedules of districts. It's attachment 5 in the binder that I gave all of you.
So, and I guess my question is, and I had said it to Nate, you guys are currently a campground right now.
We're not a commercial campground, so anything over 4 campsites is, then you gotta abide by state health regulations and become a commercial campground. So we had 4 campsites in that place, and that was, the other attorney said that we considered that as an agritourism and not a commercial campground. So
Okay.
it's more part of the farming activities that we have, rather than, once we get over 5 campsites, then we have to have a permanent special use permit, and we have to go through the state health department regulations.
Makes sense. Anyone else?
Can I just, so Jason, is that, in terms of the past, and I apologize if you guys don't mind me asking. So in the RA zone, it's campsite and trailer parks?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Under a special use permit, right?
Yeah.
It's in a-
Yep, it's in column 4.
Yes.
Can music ends around 11?
Before 11, and then.
The amplified music, yeah.
Okay.
And then, what do you guys do for water, for food?
We have vendors, food vendors that come in with either a food truck or something that's approved by the health department.
So they,
Water, we recommend that people bring their own water, and people that don't take that recommended, we have water that we'll give out to them, bottled water, or have water for sale. But most people
have been there, they
recommendations
know.
and bring their own water.
And the food vendors, you said they're permitted through Albany County Department of Health.
Yeah. Mhm.
Are there lights that you guys have set up?
There is lights, yeah, there's lights all through the forest, generators, there's lights through the trees, lights for where people park and stuff, so. Further deep in the woods, where they camp, there's not, people bring their own
Lanterns or whatever.
lanterns and stuff, but all the main areas of the vendors, the activities are going on, that it's all lit.
Do you guys have music lined up?
Yeah, some a little bit, but most of it's waiting on permission as well.
Yep.
So like, you don't really want to have what we did last time is that we set up and had all this stuff set up, and then the permission wasn't granted in time, so we had to really scramble and get these people, these musicians, other things are repaid because they couldn't host them out there.
So your largest event is that one in May
Yes,
with approximately 300.
approximately that's a max.
That's
So-
going to be a max. Is
Right.
that including all of your stage, security guards?
That could
300.
be up to 350 if, so that does not include, staff and volunteers and cleaning crew and, musicians. So at a lot of those, you know, when the musicians come, they don't stay through the whole thing. Or the, people that are hosting the, workshops, we're also having workshops and stuff, so like, those people usually don't stay the whole time. They'll just come for a few hours and leave.
When you guys had 200 people, did you have any parking issues?
No, we could easily park 5 times as many as that. It was just, and we had a really big rain event. I had to shut down 2 hours early because of the rain on one of the nights, and no one got stuck or anything. So we have very good roads, and excavation equipment where I move shale and stuff. So if there are any mud spots, I fix all that.
Not thinking that at this past event you had this issue, but since you've been up there, have you had any fire trucks or ambulances that have come up there? Have they had any issues turning around?
Nope. And we've for the last events, we that was part of the stipulation that we had to have Danny Baker come up there and the fire department, and they all had to make sure and approve we have separate access.
Okay.
A back road that's just for the fire staff and emergency access. So we have a way that that comes up through Copeland Hill Road and not Bucks Ranch Road.
Okay.
That is just for fire trucks and ambulances.
Gotcha. And that's been maintained since the event.
It
2
is
years
maintained.
ago.
I would do a bunch of work on
Okay.
it. I have a sawmill down there, so I use that road quite often.
And then you have neighbors. The events that are occurring, you mentioned there's stage or some other workshops and space like that. Is that it close by the neighbors? Is it kind of set back? Is it a little further away?
It's pretty far. The nearest neighbor is probably a quarter mile.
Okay.
It's downhill, so that's why some of the problems were before that they could, the sound travels kind of down the mountain.
That does happen out there. Yeah.
It's not anywhere near the neighbors.
Okay.
Now, when you had your event 2 years ago, did you get any feedback from your neighbors? Like, I don't know if you spoke to any of them or?
Not so much of the. I mean, most of them I don't really speak to, but there's a couple of them. There was probably 4 or 5 of them that were there, that were very happy about the situation. There's a couple that just aren't going to be happy, that just don't like the change, and I think that we did everything that you guys asked, and the music was shut down even early on one of the nights. So I think that that was their main concern was the noise after 11 o'clock. And once we alleviated that concern, they didn't really have a problem.
I apologize. You're not Joan, right?
I'm her partner, not
Okay.
Jason. Yeah.
Jason, okay, because I didn't catch that from the beginning, so I
Yeah,
just want to
I'm
make sure.
her partner.
Thanks. Didn't want to assume, but yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't want anything to do with it.
Anyone else have any other questions? I mean, so I guess Bill, do you have anything else?
Do you want me to do kind of a little quick?
Yeah.
There's a little quick list. I think some are consistent with what Mr. McGuire had identified. But I think for the purposes of the board, you want to take a look at the definition of campsite. It is defined in the code. And with respect to special permits specifically, first I'd ask that the board consider the sufficiency of the plan. You want to pay attention to where things are located. And particularly I'm thinking about some of the new members who may not necessarily be acquainted with what was presented in the past. That is, any, we'll call them buildings, but it could be, for instance, where the restrooms are, those types of things, parking areas, traffic. And I know that sound has come up. Certainly that's something that should be considered. The means of ingress and egress, life safety. So it's the ambulance, fire truck, and I realize some of these things may be covered, but I think for board purposes, you want to begin to think those things through. Secondary access is great, so long as it's maintained, and that's really the key. It's got to be sufficient, and it can't get blocked. The other aspect of it is parking. If there has to be some type of an evacuation, how does that occur in an orderly manner? It sounds like there's sufficient parking from what they've said, and that's pretty great if people are
we have a lot of land.
not getting stuck, because that's usually what is an issue, particularly as noted in terms of a rain event. It does appear on its face, at least initially, that there may be food served. If it's food trucks, then maybe we don't have the Department of Health, but if there's cooking, that could potentially be a different issue in terms of if it's cooking that's on site. So that's one of the things that comes up. And you may want to think it through in relation to what we typically see, and that is in the nature of sort of a site plan, so that board members are oriented as to, and I'm thinking about the newer members, to some extent, what is where on that site, relative to each other use or feature of the site. And those are kind of the quick things. Adequacy of the generator could potentially be an issue too. If there's not a power source, then you're going to be reliant upon generators. Again, just practical things that I think this board has typically considered as far as life safety. Few other quick things from a legal perspective. It does have mass gathering characteristics, so that consideration would be applicable. And just on the initial review, it does appear that there would be a 239 referral that's required. So just as a heads up, friendly reminder for everybody, that presents itself. And then, of course, as I think you all know, you'll be looking at this from a seeker perspective as well. I have an expectation that probably the board would consider being the lead agency. It probably is an unlisted action, although we'll kind of leave that a little bit open because I think you all want to think through, in fairness to the applicant, what they're presenting. But that's probably the direction I think that the board might consider going. So those are the kind of quick high-level things that we've seen so far.
No, thank you.
I'd like to comment one thing. I went through this before with the mass gathering thing in the health department, and mass gathering starts at 5,000. That's when the health department starts their regulation, is at 5,000.
And that is true as far as the statewide level. Each municipality does have its own right to regulate and have its own mass gathering law, if an individual municipality chooses to. But I think you do want to think about the critical mass of the number of people.
And that's something, if we get there, or that could be something in considerations put in. I mean, I don't know where anyone else stands on the board. The last event was 2 years ago. I know my own property. My property, being rural, has changed significantly in 2 years. So I know I would be comfortable having the fire go out again and make sure that that ingress and egress is out there, and making sure that you do have a safety route. So I don't know how anyone else feels.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad idea. I mean, I don't think it'll hurt anything to have them just verify,
Dan comes out often too, so I can bring him through the next time he comes checking out the road.
The one thing you mentioned, food, the regulations for the health department would be if Magic Forest Farms is preparing food on site, but that wouldn't be for self-consumption, right? So if you have campers or whoever are preparing their own
Right,
food,
and then
that's fine, that's okay. Just
And they're required to have their own permits before they can serve on the property.
The food trucks.
Yes.
Okay.
did we have a site plan 2 years ago?
We did.
Um,
I couldn't make it. It's a little different because it's a different event.
Is that something you can update? I mean,
Sure.
I've driven up there once or twice, but not intimately familiar with the property, and I'm sure that we don't mind seeing the location and different things and just making sure that.
There won't be a problem to get a site plan separate for each one, just because it's a little different for each one.
Yeah, some kind of map or something, and it doesn't have to be anything of high scale, or like, just so we have a visual of where your entry is, your exit is, emergency.
Locations of the campsites, bathroom stage, that type of stuff, water, and, if there is, well, there's not public.
He did have that 2 years ago in his initial
Right.
thing. He did
Has
have
your
a
land
little map.
changed? Have you added anything, modifications, improvements, or anything?
There's a little bit, there's more parking in the woods.
Okay.
There's a little bit more space and stuff. I've done some forestry and some logging work.
Okay.
Besides that, no.
Jason, last time having the ability to have a helicopter go in, was that something that was brought up?
We have a spot in the lower field down by Copeland Hill
Okay,
that I mowed with my brush hog, and just in case there needed to be in a medevac.
okay.
And also up on the top part too,
They
isn't
could
there?
land in the top part too. It's just a little bit easier down in the field in Copeland Hill.
And that's right at the bottom of the, emergency access road that he built.
Should put like a signal fire there or
They
something.
could.
Yeah, so for the next meeting, if you can just have something like that for us, visual, so we can see it. I have no problem accepting the application. Anybody else?
No.
No.
Any other questions? So I'll make a motion to accept the application for the special use permit for a temporary campground on the property owned by Joan Mahoney. This property is located at 134 Bucks Ranch Road, tax map number 130.2-20.1.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. So, yeah, I mean, that gives us time as a board for us, if we have any other questions for you at the next meeting.
Okay.
But if you can have that site plan for us, simple map or whatever, just so we can get a visual of it.
Okay. And I'll have Dan come up to do a drive-through too, just so you know that the accesses and stuff are still fine.
And I don't, speak to Dan also, because I do think you may want to have the fire chief go up and just make sure that they have turn radius and they're able to get in and out also.
Okay.
So,
Wouldn't wouldn't hurt and would help to get a letter.
from fire chief, which I think we did that last time also. So, yeah, so,
Yeah, that definitely would help.
yeah.
Save time.
We're gonna have to go with the public hearing, and these are questions that the town's gonna wanna, the people are gonna wanna know also, so if we can get this work done ahead of time, you know. Last time I think it was a lengthy process, so hopefully we can speed it up more than that,
Yes.
so.
So would the public hearing be the next meeting?
No, well, no, because we didn't schedule it, because we want to get a better grasp of this, we wanna see the layout. Our next meeting is Wednesday, a week from Wednesday, so it's 9 days away. And then we'll go from there, because we also have to send this to county. So at the next meeting, we can proceed more.
Okay.
Any other questions for us? Anyone else have anything else for them?
So I have one question. So you said the May event, you have pending arrangements with musical performers and guests and such. So I imagine there's a date that you need to know by, not necessarily that we can, achieve that, but is there like a drop dead date, if you will, for your presenters and performers?
No, I think we're got enough ahead of time, and I'd say 2 or 3 months isn't too long, but a couple more meetings is expected.
Because if I recall, the last time we went, I think it was March.
Took me 6 months last time, yeah.
Right, and I think when you came was March.
I started in February and I got approved in the middle of June or
July 27th.
July 27th.
Yeah, so it was almost 6 months.
Yeah, so, and a lot of the work is already done, so, and Dan is familiar with it, the fire chief should be familiar with it, so, things should go a little bit quicker this time, and we'll go from there.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that was our new business. Moving on to old business. We have the area variance for Valley Paper Mill Park. That was an application for an area variance on the property owned by the town of Queens. And this was for the reconstruction of the paper mill.
Right.
Hello. The floor is yours.
I will be stepping away.
We're still at a quorum. You just want to update us with your project.
I will. Tom Sweeney, Upland Preservation Association. Since our last meeting in December, I've been, JD from the State Historic Preservation Office. And he acquainted with me with Consolidated Resource Information System, where we load text, photos, and in this case, the plot plan. And they reviewed it, and we have a copy of the their response. This is no adverse effect. Last sentence of the letter.
It was emailed.
I did get the email.
I did not copy it and put it in your folders.
I have.
I emailed it.
In my possession.
Sure, Mr. Kinnery has it on his tablet.
Thank you. Thank you. I can read this for the record. Dear Thomas Sweeney, thank you for requesting the comments of the New York State Historic Preservation Office. We have reviewed the provided documentation in accordance with Section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act of 1966. These comments are those of SHPO and relate only to historic cultural resources. They do not include other environmental impacts to the New York State parkland that may be involved or in or near your project. We note that the Valley Paper Mill chimney and site is listed in the state and national registers of historic places. We understand that the proposed project includes reconstruction of the chimney capital and installation adjacent to the existing chimney as shown in the site plan provided. Based on this review, it is the opinion of SHPO that the proposed project will have no adverse effect to historic resources. If you have any questions, I can be reached by email, Weston Davey. Thank you for that. Anyone on the board have any questions for Mr. Sweeney? I think everything we've done everything on our part. Everything has been complete on their part. So I just think we have to approve it.
Public hearing.
You have to schedule respectfully public hearing. If we go back to our, I know it may seem a little bit foggy, last year meeting of December 9. I believe we did at that point in time have a board determination to send it to the county. I don't know if that's.
They will be seeing it this Thursday as their meeting,
That's what I thought.
and it's already been sent.
So we're gonna have that in the mix.
So we approved the application at December 9th, so we're fine on that.
So it went for the 239, but we don't have that back, so we can't vote on the merits. Number two, at the December 9 meeting, this board declared itself to be lead agency for purposes of seeker. This board classified the application as an unlisted action, and then, I know it's last year, but we stopped at that point. So, Madam Chairwoman, I would suggest that when the board feels that it's ready, you make the seeker determination. It's up to you if you want to make it here and now. If you don't, that's fine. You can make it at the next meeting. Jason's going to need time to publish for the notice for the public hearing. So you may want to respectfully schedule that at the board's pleasure, just making sure that Jason's got enough time to publish. That's what we see.
So our next meeting is January 22nd. You won't have enough, we have enough time to get it in for that meeting?
No, I will not. You'll have to schedule it for the first meeting.
February 10th.
February.
Okay. So we can schedule that public hearing tonight. Jason can note it, put it in public notice. And that would be for February 10th. That date is good for you?
I may or may not be here, but I have someone representing me.
Okay, fair enough. So I'll make a motion to schedule that public hearing on February 10th, 2025 at 7 p.m. here. And Jason will have it posted. Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So Jason will get that out and we'll have that public hearing. Refresh my memory, we did not do the seeker form.
Correct.
Short form.
Did not, we stopped. Yep.
I mean, we can do that tonight, go through it, or we can do it at our next meeting when we have the public hearing. I don't care either way.
Yeah, it's whatever.
We did the public hearing.
Attach it with the public
Just
hearing?
do it.
Okay, so we'll attach that with the public hearing.
I
So
think one of the things I think that, the board was considering is the fact that you wanted to hear from SHPO to see what they
which we did, and we'll also have the 239 back by then from county. So on February 10th, then we'll go through seeker. Maybe we'll see you, maybe we won't.
I'll be at your next meeting. Or do I need to be?
Yeah.
No, because we'll have no action at the next meeting, so you won't need to be, I mean, if you want to come and join for the
You're
end.
welcome to come.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If anything, by the next meeting, we would have the recommendations from county. That would be about it.
Yeah. I mean, you can even call, check in with Jason, see if we heard from,
We're informed. Keep
Yeah,
me-
so-
Thank you.
and I don't think you need to be at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for us? Thank you.
We're hoping to get construction in spring.
Well, you got the grant money, correct? That was approved.
Geez, they just sent it last week, isn't that something? Took 'em a while.
Well, congrats.
Will Mr. Datino be filling in for you if you were not present?
Probably,
Okay,
yeah, I spoke with them.
okay.
Thank you. Coming back, Pat? Next, old business, we have the subdivision for Alexander Pilo. That was for a lot line adjustment and an application for a 2-lot subdivision. He's not here.
No, you're not.
So, Bill, how do you want to proceed on this one? Because I think we need to, everything has been done on that. We went through seeker on that. We do have recommendations from county that came back on that. Everyone has a copy of that in their folder. They had one recommendation, and that was to include a shared access agreement, including a maintenance agreement. It should be referenced in the deeds for both lot 1 and 2 due to the proposed use of a shared driveway. So you guys see that.
You have the documents, we don't.
Yeah, do you have that?
You have them there. She only needs to read them
Get it quick.
into the minutes.
Okay. So that has no bearing on us. That would be for them. Do we recommend that?
Be a condition in the,
Yeah, you can condition any determination that you make on that.
So, I don't know if I have their map with me. I don't think that's it. So it's one shared driveway that goes in. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the property. It's one shared driveway that goes in, and then I believe there's a resident, multifamily, and then goes back. I don't know if they have anything on record, because this was being subdivided off of that one property originally. So I don't know if they have an agreement or anything written. This second driveway is a fairly new driveway, because if you're looking at this map, there was one main driveway that went to the original lot, which is the 1.96 acres, which is right on sort of the corner of Blodgett.
Mhm.
This second driveway didn't used to exist. So I don't know when they put that in, if that was, I mean, these would be questions for the
Probably
applicant.
after the initial subdivision,
Yeah, I don't know.
because that was just last year.
So I don't know if conditions were put in that. If we table this, do we have enough time as far as for the applicant from when they put the application in?
When did you close the public hearing?
We had the public hearing at our last meeting in December.
Yeah, we closed the public hearing on December 9th, so you're not within the
So
62 days.
if we put this off until the next meeting, January 22nd, can you just contact him and inform him to be present so we can get some clarity on this? And then if we have to put any conditions, then we can approve it? So I guess we'll table that. I
As a
don't,
practical matter, do we know, Jason, did that applicant receive a copy of the 239? The communication from the county? Do we know?
No, because I just keep it in my files because they're only recommendations
Yeah.
for the board to act.
Yeah.
So we'll probably want to let them know, though, that this was their recommendation. And it wouldn't hurt them only because that lot 2 has no other access except for that driveway that goes to lot 1, or vice versa. So,
I just think it becomes, as much as you may have the desire to act, you may impose a condition on the applicant that they tell you something on the site renders it unworkable or it's too difficult, or so having that dialogue with the applicant is probably productive. There's no prohibition at this point for you to act. It may not be beneficial, and then it sets them up where they have to come back to amend if you're inclined to approve it, but then they're faced with having to amend it or something like that.
well, and if you look at that map too, though, I think the other lots still may have access from that first driveway also.
It looks like it does, but
Right.
whether it's maintained or not, who
I know.
knows? And then,
So we'll just get more clarity from them at the next meeting. Just inform them, and we'll go from there. Sound good? Okay, so next old business we have on our agenda was the subdivision of Stanley and Marissa Tute. That was for an application for a 4-lot subdivision on the property owned by Stanley and Marissa Tute. That property is located at 524 Copeland Hill Road, tax map number 130-2-3.1. And we also have the recommendations back from Albany County in reference to that. And the applicant is here. The recommendation from Albany County was to include to have a review by the New York State Department of Transportation for new or modified access to a state highway for the proposed lot 1 should be required. The recommendation 2 was a highway work permit from the Albany County Department of Public Works for driveway construction, drainage, and public utility connections within the county right-of-way is required for proposed lots 2 and 3. Do you guys want to come up, or?
Not sure, lots 2 and 3, is that the Copeland Hill lot that on the hill?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Which that makes sense.
Yep. Well, it probably, Bill, should that go into the conditions?
Yeah, typically, I think what we've seen in the past is that they become conditions of the approval. If there's an allocation in terms of who does what, who pays for it, that generally is something that's a private
Later on.
between the parties, but it would be a condition of the approval for the subdivision.
So were they looking for the driveway?
So the one, for the second condition was a highway work permit from the Albany County Department of Public Works for driveway construction, drainage, and public utility connections within the county right-of-way. So does that mean that they want a driveway or something in so the county is able to get in?
No, my expectation is, I'm not trying to tell you what to do.
No,
but
that's fine.
that's
just
fine.
having been through it a little bit before in the county with other towns, the higher form of government is regulating the number of access points, and they're also looking at safety relative to the access point. So the county has a review process, relatively easy in my estimation. Would you agree? Not that difficult.
And it's also too, when you just construct your driveway, if they have a drainage ditch on that side, you have to put a culvert in.
Right.
That's what they want to make sure of, that you're not putting a 4-inch pipe in when it really requires a 10-inch pipe.
So the large lot, I mean, that driveway's been there for 100 years. That's why and it's the only access to the property straight across from Copeland Hill Road.
going up to 32.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you're not going anywhere else on that property, cause
Right.
Right.
This.
yeah,
I think they just did that because the water board
yep,
has an easement through it, no, or is next to it?
next to it,
Next to it, that's why.
yep,
Well, they were two different conditions, because the first condition was for lot 1.
right,
And that was for modified access to a state highway for that lot.
right.
So And then the other condition was for lot 2 and 3.
Those are the ones up on Copeland.
Right.
So there's a drive up there as well too, that goes in on that property.
I will tell you, I have seen it for what it's worth in other instances within the county. If there is a subdivision that occurs and there is an existing driveway, and the county reacts and says, if there is going to be an addition of another driveway or
Right.
2 more, then that's when this will apply.
Yeah,
That's what I've seen in the past.
but that other driveway's there because like recently when the power went out up there, there's a power line that comes through that property with transformers on it. And National Grid uses that driveway to get into the property so they can repair the lines.
I have not seen the county exercise jurisdiction over existing driveways. It's typically the existing driveway's there, and the question becomes, okay, where are the new ones going relative to the existing and everything else that's there at the site?
Yeah, we have no plans putting any new driveways in.
And I think if you were to sell it or if someone was to build, that's gonna be a requirement. The county has to come out to do the driveway.
Exactly.
You know, I know I had gone through that, so it's not gonna hurt to put these, you know, recommendations in, as a condition. So, are you guys comfortable with that?
They have to do that no matter what, whoever buys that piece of property.
Correct.
Right. They're
Has
gonna,
to do that regardless.
Yeah, so having the conditions doesn't make, but makes sense to have the conditions in there.
yeah,
Right, it's a paper trail and we dot our i's, cross our t's, and it's followed, so whether the county has you do it or not, that's on them, but this is on us, getting this done.
it's not that difficult.
No.
It really isn't. And they're actually pretty good about it. They move them along.
So, do any of you have any other questions for Marissa or Stan today? We've done, I believe we have gone through the process for everything. We sent it to county, we did, we went through our short form with them, we had our public hearing, so, I mean, if everyone here is okay with approving this, application, and we'll put these conditions in it. Oh, this is gonna be a mouthful.
We could do subject to the conditions stated in the county planning board letter dated.
Thank you. So I'll make a motion to approve this application for the 4-lot subdivision on the property owned by Stanley and Marissa Tuche. The property is located at 524 Copeland Hill Road, tax map number 130.2-3.1, with the conditions from Albany County Planning Board, which was recommended on December 19th. And there were 2 recommendations. We'd like to put these conditions in that. Can I have a second on that?
I'll make that second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You guys are good to go. I do just want to state for public record, I had spoken with Mrs. Chute earlier. They don't have their Mylar maps, so we have approved it. They have to get those Mylar maps, and you do have to give them to Jason first because he has to get the stamp on it, and then get it to me. Either leave it, because it's initially gonna come back, it's gonna come back to you anyway, right?
It has to come back to me first. I
So-
have to stamp it,
We're just waiting for the surveyor on that.
and then she will sign it because I also keep a copy in my office too. After that all gets done, I'll contact you and you come back to my office and pick them up.
Yeah, just give it to him, and then I'll stop down in your office, I'll sign, so you don't have to make multiple trips.
Okay.
And we'll get that done.
And then when that's all done, you need to bring 1 paper and 1 Mylar to Albany County to record the survey.
Okay.
And we will keep both of those, because they're gonna come to my office.
Okay.
If you want extra copies of the surveys for your records, and you have 4 lots, so I would recommend having 4 extra paper copies with you.
Yeah.
The county clerk will stamp those documents with their document number, and then you can take them, and then I believe your children are looking to build there, or whatever the case is. So you can, if you sell it, you give them a map, your kid gets a map, that way you're covered for the future.
All right,
Okay.
great.
So if you have those extra papers.
Thank
Do
you.
you require a tax search?
Throughout the whole spiel. There's also, you have to do a certified tax search on the property to make sure that all the taxes are paid, so that would also include the January bill that you may have probably just gotten today. And then,
Just FYI.
just, yeah. And then, so when you come down the State Street, you come down to 112 State Street, we do the tax search on the first floor, you come up to the 13th floor, then you go to the county clerk's office. Your cost, it's gonna be $25 for the tax search, $75 for the mapping fee, and then it's gonna be $10 to record the map at the county clerk's office, so it's gonna be $110 total, and that's check or cash.
Okay, all right, thank you.
It is so awesome to have so many different brains here with so much
I'm
knowledge.
just like-
It's really awesome.
I'm like,
because-
these guys know.
That's,
Well, usually the surveyor's like, you just take care of that for you.
well, and on that note, I just want to say too, because our town board just reinstated Mr. Cronin, so he continues on here. It's a new year, and it's been a pleasure for me to be on this board, for everyone that's here tonight. I mean, we all work amazingly well, so I was super happy that they extended that, so congrats to you on that.
Yeah.
And thanks to the town board for doing that. And Bill also, they put for another year, so they must like you, Bill. So I'm super happy.
I'm happy to be here, happy to work with you.
So- And thank you,
Really enjoy
likewise.
working with you.
So with that said, that brings us to the end. Does anyone have anything else to discuss? You have-
Training coming up?
It's on my mind.
It's New Year.
It's about time to start.
Right, yeah.
We only need 4 hours. We got a lot of
It's
months
time to start planning it so we can have it
Instead of
done
doing our
before.
cram sessions.
That's
So,
a,
that's driving your head that thought, of, we just finished this,
yeah, we
but it took the better part of a year to get it scheduled.
it's true, so
So,
when we,
we know we're
if
done
we
later.
have our next members at our next meeting, bring that reminder up again so that it's not March or April when we're doing it again, if not later.
It's better to get it done now than during the summer when everybody's got stuff going on.
Yeah.
and everything
No, I
else.
agree. So at the next meeting,
Okay.
please, you're in charge of that. Okay, I make a motion to adjourn this meeting.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is ended. Thank you.
Make sure we have maps to sign.